So hi, I'm Catherine. I'm in 4th year of the architectural program at Laurentian, and I'm going to be taking you on a tour through Laurentian School of Architecture. The McEwen School of Architecture is located downtown Sudbury, and it was kind of placed there to revamp the downtown but also include the community members a lot. So it brought a lot of life to the downtown core. So we bring in community members to help with different critiques, give feedback, work more like in close and personal projects with them, working with the community. We have a green roof on the roof actually, which supports a lot of local wildlife and native species, which is also a cool like little breather area where if you're stressed during a project, you can go up on the roof, you can get some fresh air and then come back inside. So this is our main atrium space. This is kind of where we all gather as a school. It's kind of like where the community aspect of the program comes into play, where all the different events are hosted, different community events such as like the Makers Market. We do Nuit Blanche events here. The fireplace behind me is kind of where students kind of like set up different years all mixed to different tables. They do their homework assignments together. It's kind of like the main heart of the building. As you can see, it's kind of made out of CLT, which is cross-laminated timber. So it's kind of like a learning tool for this building. So if you're learning about like wall sections, you can kind of look and see a physical example of what you're learning rather than covering it up and hiding everything within the walls. So welcome to the Crit Pit. This is where our critiques happen. So for mid-reviews or final reviews of your projects, everyone would come down here in your year. You would pin up your projects along the pin-up boards behind me. It's a great way for the community passing by on the street to be able to look in and kind of connect with what's going on within the building, as well as within the school itself, different years. You can come down, watch your friends' crits. You can see what the upper years above you are doing, the years below you. It's kind of like a nice way to bring the school together, but also get feedback from all the different profs in the building.
Don't forget your PPE.
N'oublie pas ton EPP.
Welcome to the workshop. This is kind of where all your design builds are going to take place. I always like to tell the story to the incoming first years of my experience in first year, where for like the first or second day of class, they said, here's a log, go buy a set of chisels, design something and carve it out. So you always start off really enthusiastic and you're like, yes, I'm going to make this cool design. It's going to go so well. And then throughout the project, like 3 days goes by and you have a headache from everyone hammering, your hands hurt, you have blisters, looks nothing like what you designed, but what you get out of it is you learn the process of how to work with the material hands-on as opposed to the design without any background. So it's kind of how I like to explain the workshop, where you learn how things physically work and you kind of learn how to put them together rather than just going, designing, and not actually doing. So that's kind of what takes place in here. So this is our lecture hall. This is where most of your architectural lectures will take place. This is also where we have guest lectures for the lecture series of the school, where all the different years come together and watch different guests that are invited to host lectures. So we have the projection system, just in case there's ever films for your classes that you're required to watch, or movie nights hosted in here. It's kind of like a nice area to go and watch everything together. So this is the classroom space. This is where you'll do your architecture classes. So this is also where you can do different pinups for critiques if the crit pit is being occupied or is too loud because there's something happening outside. So we have different clip systems attached to the ceiling so you can hang different posters and such. So this is the library space. This is where you can go to take out any of your architectural related resources. They actually brought all of the architecture books from main campus's library down to the architecture campus. You don't actually have to leave the building if you need anything based on architecture here. There's also study spaces in the area, so you can go. We have little chairs, sitting areas, we have study lounges, then just general tables for like workspace, etc. So we also have the laser cutter and 3D printer and the CNC machines. So in the first and second years, it's more hands-on learning how to work with the materials, but then in the upper years, you get more advanced with technology, and that's when you get to use those different machines. So we have a student lounge area where we have access to microwaves, dishwasher, fridge, freezers. It's kind of where you can go and have your lunch, have a sit space. There's a small fireplace in there, including a TV if you ever want to hook up and watch anything. So it's kind of like a nice chill area within the building where you don't necessarily have to study. That's also where the LASA headquarters is, which is the Laurentian Architecture Student Association. So you can go in there, you can buy different materials off of them, you can ask them questions. They're there doing different events, organizing things for the students. So every student, every year, you get a desk that you get to pick and sit at, and this is kind of where you're going to be working, where you're going to have critiques with your profs one-on-one. This is where you're going to be able to store all of your items, work on your computer, make models. This is kind of like the studio space and atmosphere, so the different years are able to actually walk out and socialize with other students, people in different studio groups, under different professors, people in different years, kind of ask for advice. It's kind of like the social aspect of working in the building, where you're able to walk around and kind of flow through and see what everyone else is doing. So this is the boardroom. It's a part of the old telegraph building from the Canadian Pacific Telegraph. This is where you can kind of meet up with your profs, have different sessions. This is where students can go to work. It's kind of where the school faculty goes and does their board meetings. It's kind of just an additional workspace in the building. Thank you for coming to my virtual tour of the McEwen School of Architecture. For further resources, please contact Liaison Services at extension 3109 or info@laurentian.ca.